Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Built in Texas. I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds to make sure everyone gets on. I'm also at this time praying that my coworker / colleague, Cash Brand, is going to be silent because he is already, as always, as soon as one of my Zoom chats something starts, Cash wakes up. He's sitting up now. So thank you all for joining me again this week. My name is Jasmine Brand. I'm the host of Built in Texas, which is a weekly 30-minute show powered on LinkedIn. I am broadcasting it on Facebook for the first couple of ones just to kind of get you guys to come over, but it will be exclusively on LinkedIn. It is a show powered by Her Texas, which is a really cool platform that I've been working on now for what feels like 20 years. And hopefully what I believe will be a movement for Texas women too. So I hope you have your coffee or whatever you need to get through the morning. But this will go by really fast, but I hope you find some benefit and some joy in it too. So I am an entrepreneur based in Dallas, Texas. I went to SMU Arts Magnet for those in Dallas. And I am really passionate about moving women forward always. And Her Texas is actually, it came to be because I was meeting so many incredible women around the state and was trying to figure out how to connect them. And for those that know me know, I am a turtle with email responses. So I was like, there has to be a better way to connect Texas women here, and started researching it and realized there really wasn't anything there. So before I get into a little bit more with Her Texas, I feel like I need to ask you all, where are you tuning in from? So as you listen to this or you tune in later, let me know in the comments, where are you tuning in from? If you're, last time we had quite a few people actually from Austin that tune in. We of course had some love from North Texas. So if you let me know in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or LinkedIn, where you are. I also feel like I need to get your thoughts on Meghan and Harry. Now, I have not watched it, but y'all have already ruined it for me. I really don't even feel like I need to watch it, just going on the comments or whatever. I am going to watch it today, but I'm curious your thoughts on what happened, the interview, in the comments as well. What do you think about Meghan's, her journey and her story last night? I've seen so many people talk about it from both sides. Some people are pro Meghan, some people are not for Meghan. And I will say, since today is International Women's Day, March 8th is International Women's Day, that this is a fantastic day to honor all women and their voices, and also to acknowledge the challenges that we have and that we still have a long way to go. I know in my personal and professional life, I definitely have also maybe not always been understood the best, or maybe not communicated the best as well. And I think today for International Women's Day, it's of course a great day for us to acknowledge all the women doing incredible work around the world, and here in Texas especially, but for us also to embody something that I love, which is grace. Grace for women that are just out there trying something new, trying to do something different. And also women, I think, that are women of color, because specifically in Meghan's perspective, we don't know her story. We have not gone out and hung out with her, but I think it's challenging for women of color in general to be on a public spotlight like that. And so I'm going to ask our special guest, I'm going to of course dig into her brain a little bit about this too, but let me know in the comments what you guys think about Meghan and Harry, or as I've seen some people say, Mary, #Mary. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and tell you a little bit more about Her Texas. But before I start, I want to thank our partner today, which is a company called Eat Drink Explore. I am actually a co-founder for this and an investor, but Eat Drink Explore is a platform that will hopefully encourage you to explore food, wine, travel, and culture in a different way. It is, I believe, an answer to what we're dealing with right now. We can't travel to where we want to go. We maybe want to explore different cuisines, or we are interested about wine or spirits. So Eat Drink Explore hopefully will be another platform for you to explore and have fun with. It is a private community. You can go to the website and click join. There's all kind of fun content in there. We've got a bunch of cool events virtual that you can plug into. So excited about that. Excited for Eat Drink Explore to be our partner this week as well. So Her Texas, this is actually an image of one of our last in-person events. Her Texas started off where I was just hosting these private events for women And they just started to kind of explode. I miss seeing everyone in person. This was so fun. And the Riveter actually was our partner for this one. And at the time, I didn't know what Her Texas was really going to be. It really was this gathering. And I thought we need a community here in Texas, specifically women here. But as I had more time to think about this idea and think about what we really need, I realized we need more than just a community. We really need a revolution of ideas, vision, and sisterhood. Like, a community is no longer enough. And specifically because Texas is so big, right? And I don't know if you all know this, but Texas has close to 2,000 cities. Like, insane. We have, I think, close to 14 million women here in the state. I mean, we're like 50 million states together. And so a community just won't have it, won't work here in Texas. We need something bigger and more robust. And so this platform that we are kind of fueled by is called the New Texas, which is a movement that will recognize that our greatest strength lies in the legacy of the women that work, live, and create and build here. Our personal and professional growth is dependent upon our capacity for connectivity. So the better we can connect and communicate, the more success we can have. And here's some of our core values as well. And I'll go into this later on. We actually will launch in May. And so Built in Texas is a show that I'll be hosting every Monday leading up until our big launch in May. But you'll learn a little bit more about this as we keep going on. But we really want to create our own table. I think a lot of us are tired of asking for a seat at other people's tables. Like, girl, I'm kind of over that at this point. So it's time for us to create our own table. And Her Texas is for all people. I want to clarify this, that our mission is specifically focused on Texas women, but we could not move forward without the incredible men and our male allies that get us, that support us, and that want us to move forward as well. So Her Texas is a movement for all. We just specifically focus on Texas women. I'm really passionate about representation, creating community from wherever you are. And it's so important for women to support one another, and not just a hashtag, but to really move the needle forward for one another. So how can you stay connected? Well, you can of course find us on IG, FB, LinkedIn. We have a private Facebook group that's kind of been on hold, but we will start bringing that back up as we get closer to our big launch. So feel free to join that. And then you can actually go to hertexas.co, where we've got an opportunity for you to sign up for our newsletter. If you are wanting to stay plugged in on what's happening with Her Texas, that's a great opportunity. Starting this Wednesday and every Wednesday, we will be sending out a newsletter that will give you just a kind of a good overview of all the events happening in the state, women you didn't know about, funding opportunities. It just will be a very Texas-sized newsletter, but it's specifically focused on what's here for Texas women. And we really are the first ecosystem that was created for Texas women. And I say that because we've got some great organizations here, great ecosystems, but women and specifically diversity initiatives shouldn't be a second paragraph thing. And this is, I think, what happens a lot of times. We really are first. And so, but you need an ecosystem that's created for us and by us. And so really excited about the future and what holds for Her Texas, and specifically for May. So feel free, hertexas.co, if you'd like to sign up for that. And without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our guest this week. One of my goals was, in a 30-minute meeting, how do you have time, right? What do you have time for? And I want to give you, hopefully each week, some events you need to know about, some people you should know about, but specifically introduce you to the women that are doing bold stuff in the state. And you may know some of them, but I think it's important because a lot of people don't know what's happening in other cities that are here in the state as well. So it's so important for us to not only celebrate one another, but for us to do a better job of supporting each other. But we don't know that if we don't have awareness of each other well. So I want to go ahead and I'm going to bring on our guest this week. Her name is Cheramie Law. Cheramie, what's up? How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course. So let me read your bio a little bit so everyone gets to know, and then we'll dig deep into kind of what you're working on. So, former United States Marine, Black woman vendor, and co-founder of Salt and Pepper Wine, Cheramie Law is a woman on a mission to share the beauty of Texas wine with the world. raised in Sherman, Texas, which I did not know this, Cheramie, that you were from Sherman.
Yep.
And with a successful career as a data management specialist in the railway industry, Cheramie has been advocating for Texas wine since 2014. Oh, gee. Cheramie's vision is simple. My hope is to inspire those who don't see themselves represented in the wine industry and to show them there's a seat at the table for them. So pull up a chair, raise your glass, because wine doesn't have to be so serious. We're here to have some fun. I love that. Welcome to Built in Texas, Cheramie.
Thank you. Thank you. Of course, I brought my Cheramie wine. I'm not drinking quite yet, but it's right here.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, not in Texas. Thank you so much. So Cheramie, I met actually, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
2 years.
2 years ago. Yeah. And so much has happened, I feel like, in 2 years, right?
Seriously. First of all, I want to tell you, thank you for putting together Her Texas. Her Texas has been such an important part of just keeping me moving forward as I've been kind of developing Cheramie wine and where she is and where she's going. You and all the ladies at Her Texas have given me so much, just the energy I need to keep going when I'm at my lowest. So I am, if Jasmine's touching it and it's related, I'm 100, whatever you need, I'm here.
Oh, thanks so much, Sherry. That's so cool. I really appreciate that. And you know what? A lot of it is, I think it's like-minded people attract like-minded people. I think when we first met, we didn't know each other, but quickly got a connection. And I think that's what I've been noticing with Her Texas is that the men and women that I think that get it. Yes. And you start to kind of find each other and start to say, okay, we're kind of for the same thing. Can you dig a little bit deeper and tell us what specifically is Cheramie wine and what are you working on right now?
Yeah, so Cheramie wine is 100% Texas grown, 100% Texas made wine. We started out as kind of enthusiasts. We went to build a social media presence. Then we started selling wine in Dallas. I would not suggest someone just to wake up one day and say, I'm going to start selling wine in one of the largest markets in Texas, in America. That we got slapped really well, but we learned a lot about the wine industry. And from there, we realized that there was a place for Texas wine, not only here in Texas, but also around the country and around the world. And so our whole goal is to put forward Texas wine to the world. I know so many amazing growers. We have over 5,000 barren acres of land. We've got over 500 permanent wineries in the state of Texas, and less than 10 maybe are actually in distribution outside of the state. So that's the reason why we started, because people need to know what's going on here in Texas. They think Texas beer, whiskey, vodka, but our Texas wine industry is doing amazing things.
Yeah, I think, and let's talk about that too, like just from a diversity perspective. Sometimes people they think diversity, they think black or white, right? They think the diversity in this case has so many different layers to it too. Can you repeat that again though? Like, so for people to really understand, like when it comes to actually wines being created, built here, literally here in Texas, what does that look like?
So here in Texas, we have 8 AVAs, which is American viticulture areas. We have over 500 permanent wineries. So with the TABC, Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission, you have to have obviously a permit to work. So there's over 500 here in the state. And the ones that are actually being distributed outside of Texas, there's probably less than 10. So all the other Texas wine that's being made is being drank right here within our corners of Texas.
That's amazing. So, you didn't really have a background to do this, right? So it's probably been a learning and hustling and marketing and on the fly as you go. Yeah. Talk about like who have been your mentors, where have you gotten your information? Because I would say too, sometimes starting a business, regardless of what state you're in, but okay, and Cash just got here too, so we're gonna act like he's not here. I told you, it's because he heard your voice, seriously. But starting starting and building something in general, it's sometimes hard to ask for help, and like you can only Google so much. Like
no, 100%. You know, when we first started, and I have to keep taking a step back, and if someone approaches you and they're like, hey, I want to learn, you're not really going to jump on it, right? So I have to also take a step back and think about that. But when I first started, and Todd and I, it all started because someone told us Texas wine wasn't good. And that wasn't our view of Texas wine. And Todd, who's my fiance, and we are from the military. I was in the Marine Corps. He was in the Army. So anybody who tells us you can't do it, we're going to do it. I'm hard-headed anyways. So yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? So we started out driving around Texas, meeting with winemakers and growers and industry leaders. So Texas is the size of France. So you can imagine us like just hitting the pavement and building those relationships within the Texas wine industry. And from there, I really wanted to dig deeper, but no one was listening to me. And I have to think, how many people come to you and they have an idea or they want something from you or whatever, and you're just like, okay, I don't have time for this. But nobody would listen to me. Nobody, would open a door for me. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to just jump out and do it. Now, it was kind of, it's the painful way to do it. Didn't have a backing. I was, as Todd says, too stupid to, what do you say? Too stupid to realize that you're too stupid. You're just like, I want to do it. And you do it and reality hits you in the face. But as I started gaining momentum, really putting myself out there and meeting people in the world of wine, people started going, wait a minute, she may be onto something, let's, get giving me a contact, listening to me. And then from there, it just started snowballing where people are like, no, she really is serious. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. And still to this day, and we just launched. So I'm still to this day, like we've done so much, but it's still not easy. And I was thinking about this morning, like, it's never going to be easy. You remember when Serena Williams came to town? I ran into you there. She told us, people still tell me no. When she had her idea about her clothing brand, she's like, people still tell me no. And I still just had to keep moving, keep going forward. And so that's something that sits in the back of my head is anytime someone says no, I think about Serena Williams and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get no. So I still just need to push forward.
And the reason why I love that is that in the study and the research I've been doing, specifically during COVID too, I've just been researching the history of Texas in a much deeper way, but also just women. And there is some kind of equality for the women that are born here. And I always say women too, transplants, once you get here, you're Texas girl too. So when we already own you, but there is just this like thing that keeps you moving forward. And I wouldn't say it's not, other states don't have it, but I think the state, the identity of the state is this kind of independence flair. And sometimes we see it for the good and for the bad.
Yes.
But when it comes to women, I think us harnessing that, I think is when you can start to see really powerful stuff. What's the biggest lesson from 2020 that you learned?
I think the biggest lesson in 2020 is to stop doubting myself, right? I think that I have been at heart. Are you there? There you go.
Oh yeah, you put out a
they've been
bit
on my brain. Yep, there we go. On my brain, in my heart for years, right? And I didn't think that they would ever come to fruition. I'm like, what are you crazy? And in 2020, it just all slammed together where I was like, oh my gosh, I saw that happen, 2 years ago, and here it is. Oh my gosh, we wanted to be known as one of the top wineries in Texas. I'm thinking 10 years down the line, we just got named one of 2020 hot brands by Wine Business. Thank you. One of 9 American wines, and the 3rd Texas winery to be named since they've been doing this. And so, that is insane to me. We released our wine. We went to 27 states, actually more since we released our rosé. I didn't think it was going to be that fast. We've gotten so many different offers. And so, 2020 has just been one of the years of like things coming together. And I learned that if you see it, just keep putting that one foot in front of the other. Who knows how long it's going to take? Just keep moving forward because it's going to come.
Well, what's so interesting too, 2020 was challenging for all of us, right, in some aspect, but I think it also was a reminder, and I think too, no matter, regardless of what you believe in a higher power, that, that growth can happen in chaos, right? And sometimes chaos is, we can take that time to be defeated or to say, we're just going to keep moving forward. And it sounds like Cheramie Wine was moving forward in 2020. What's 21 what should we look forward in this year?
Yeah, so
it's not like you were building foundational pieces, but it also moves so fast. What's 21?
100%. And I want to put out, like, building that foundation is so important. A lot of, you try to skip forward, but you shouldn't. So for us, we released our first wine, which is our Riesling. We just released our Montepulciano Rosé, and we got a silver for both of them. Awesome. The last one in San Francisco, we got a silver. We've got our white wine blend, which we haven't released it yet. And so we're working on another red. And so in 2021, we're hoping to start getting into more locations. Right now, it's been direct to consumer. But 2021 is about building relationships outside of Texas. So going into New York, we've got some interest in New York, in Boston, in California, and trying to figure out how we're going to scale to meet those demands. So that's what one's about.
So what can we do? Like, what can the community do for you? What are you looking for besides just inspiration? I'm sure funding is always there, but what are you looking for?
Always. What keeps me going is people supporting, right? Whether it's buying, talking, sending direct messages or whatever. I've had some wonderful opportunities to be mentored by people within the wine industry about production, about, costs and all of that fun stuff. But one thing that's really been on me is this is a business, right? Yes, it's a passion, but it's a business. And I'm looking for that mentorship in this side of business when it comes to looking for funding to scale. There's money out there. People are getting, and this is not jealousy. This is not, anything. This is just vision. Like, people are getting $50,000 grants and, all of these things. It's like, how does Cheramie Wine set herself up, set her business up to get, attracted to, those kinds of organizations or businesses or companies that are wanting to support, a company like my company, not only in funds, because that's so important, but we all know if you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have the foundation, if you don't have the mentorship and the knowledge or whatever, it's not really going to go anywhere. And so I'm looking for that kind of someone who is like, you know what, Cheramie, I know where you're going. I see your potential. I know you're not 100% there yet, but I'm willing to stand next to you and, show you the way, or, whatever that looks like.
And Cheramie, so I think funding is always going to be there, right? Because as you grow, more money, more problems. So, so I think that's just something in the back of your mind as a business owner. The money is it's just always going to be something. It's a conversation. I think what you're saying about mentorship is so important too. And I think being willing to ask for it is huge, because a lot of times you can get very focused on it's your baby. And like, you don't want to ask for help. You think you kind of know your own way. So I think that's huge. And that's kind of the thing too with her Texas, right? I know, right? And like, I get so many people ask me, Jasmine, do you have a resource this, you have this? And we have some incredible investors here. We've got incredible funding resources. We've got a lot of cool stuff, but it's so hard to know what's happening. So I'm hoping that by us kind of shining light on what you're doing, that someone will watch this and connect. I, of course, will always be thinking about who to connect you, but we have so many great resources here, and that's some of the reason why we need a more connected community, you know.
And that's why I love what you're doing, right? There's so many. I think 2020 has also been the year of showing everyone that there's many ways to do things, right? Like you know, I don't know. There's many organizations. There's many companies. Target actually did an awesome thing when they last year for their Black what was it, Black History Month, when they brought in all these Black owned brands into their store, and it was so huge because people were like, oh, there's something new out there. So I think 2020 was showing everyone that there's new ways to do it. You don't have to keep following the old guard, and if you follow people who have that passion, you can actually make more money off of them. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but this is money and it's business and we get it. We can all make more money if you find that like passion and that, that heart and that grit behind the company. That's what I've seen.
Well, and you're exactly right. I mean, holding on to old ways, 2020 showed us, does not work. You've got to be open to new ways, new exploration. Yep. So tell me this, as we start thinking about women supporting women and just incredible women in the state, tell us about your spirit animal. This is a question I like to ask at the end. I have several women, Texas women, that are my spirit animals. Are there any women that can be famous, non-famous, they could be alive, present, from history, any Texas women that inspire you or you feel like your spirit animal?
I always say this, and I've only met her once, and I really got to sit down with her. But Susie Batiste of Poopery, I absolutely love how she leads as a founder, as the CEO of her company. It's a business. I keep coming back to that, but it's more than that. It's more about, what are you attracted to, lead with kindness, like all these things that are important to me. So I always come back to her as CEO.
I think I love Susie, and I think she's also really big into something we always think about too, manifestation, right? Mm-hmm. Like manifesting what you want. So if we were to think about manifesting for this year, Cheramie, because I was just thinking about this yesterday as I was doing some cleaning about where I'd like to manifest myself a year from now. Where would you like to see? Because I feel like putting it out there is the way to get people to hear. The energies will hear, and someone will be hearing this. So where do you want Cheramie Wine to go in the next 2 to 3 years? Where do you see it?
Yeah, so for Cheramie Wine, I see us distributing nationwide, right? I see us as a brand that has many cases of wine. Our goal is 15,000 cases, which is very small, but that's that next goal for us, is to get to that 15,000 case, because that's very far off for us. And we are distributing nationwide and also doing some exporting. And having a tasting room down in the Hill Country where we're being open and inviting people from all backgrounds and walks of life and all of that fun stuff. So tasting room and distribution.
So I love that. And I think I've always thought too, when we put a number in mind, we should always double that, because what our mind perceives is sometimes smaller than what we can actually achieve. So let's shoot for 30,000.
I love it. I love it.
Let's end on a note, a positive, fun note. And also tell us too how everyone can connect with you. Where can they buy it? You are having a big life moment happening this August. You're getting married.
I'm getting married. I'm getting to do my dream wedding. I'm so excited about that.
Can you tell us about that though? So Todd is your better half, professionally and personally. And I've always said this too, from women, and I think business owners in general, having strong partnerships are really the key. When I've done work by myself versus when I've had partnerships, is so huge, just from the mental perspective. 100%. Can you talk about what role has Todd played in your life partnership with this, as we think about Cheramie Wine moving forward?
So it's so funny, when Todd and I first started dating, he took me to Fredericksburg, which is Texas Hill Country, second to Napa in foot traffic. Our third date, he took me, and I fell in love. And at the time, I was this poor college kid and I couldn't do nothing, right? So here comes this guy, this cute guy. Hey, you want to? Yes, of course. He's paying. Okay, whatever. But he has been so important in me finding out who Cheramie is, right? When we first started dating, he asked me, what would you want to do with the rest of your life if money wasn't an object, right? And I couldn't even answer that question. And then he's just been walking down this road with me as I've been peeling back all these layers. And it's not pretty, right? Like, it's not fun, but he's not scared of a new Cheramie. Every day you get a new Cheramie and he's not scared of it. He actually promotes it. And that's how I've been able to, get Cheramie wine to a place where 1 of 9 in American wine, I don't have the backing for that. I don't have the capacity, to fill huge orders. But it's all because I've had someone who has just been, so open with not only his paycheck, meaning he has invested in Cheramie wine. He works overtime for Cheramie wine, or listening to me vent or driving me around Texas. I don't drive, he drives me. And he lets me be the mouthpiece. And so, a lot of people go, I don't know how you could be in business with your partner or your fiance or husband. And I'm like, this actually was the best thing for us to help us get on the same page, move towards the right thing. And I'm an introvert and he's an extrovert. So when I get into those places where I'm just physically exhausted or, I need, we're going to go out and we're going to be around a whole bunch of people and I can talk about business. And then I'm kind of like, okay, he can talk about anything, the moon, the stars, the water, give him a topic and he won't shut up, which I love.
Big thank you to Todd and to all the men and women that support the Texas women trying to do something big and bold in the state. Cheramie, we're out of time. You see how quick that flies by?
That went so fast.
I know. So thank you so much, for your friendship. I'm just so excited to connect with you and for you always being so supportive of everything I do as well. I think it's so important for us to do that for one another. And I think it's hard to start something from scratch. Like, I think some people underestimate that because from Shark Tank and the reality shows, but it is challenging. It's really hard. So I want to thank you for all that you're trying to do for the Texas wine industry, flaws and all bad, like you're evolving. We know too that Cheramie wine is probably going to continue to evolve. So excited for that. And it's CheramieWine.com. Is that how we can purchase?
CheramieWine.com, CheramieWine wine.com. And Cheramie Wine on Instagram.
Okay, awesome. Well, Cheramie, thank you so much. Thanks, Todd, if you're watching as well.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back next Monday. Happy International Women's Day.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.